all you peeps, this is Edo here for another Let's Play of Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Here with me is Nightshade.
This is the finale.
This is the finale.
In which we burned the game.
Which I will never touch this game ever again.
February 25, 2:21 p.m., District Court, Courtroom number 9. Isn't that like how it feels for most Phoenix Wright games? Because, like, you finish the game, there's no real reason to go back to it unless you just want to showcase it to somebody.
True. But this is it. We're at the end here. I can't see anything else that could stop us. We have to prove that Gant is, one, a dick.
Hold my beer.
And that he is the one that committed the murder. We know it. We know he is. He's just a dick. I can't help it.
Pal, he's not me.
All right. Let's go. It's now or never. It's NERF or nothing. Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand?
Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you are aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years.
Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth.
Of course. The truth.
Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister.
Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Gant.
Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant.
Witness testimony, Gant and a fabrication.
I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma.
Are you sure about this testimony?
Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course, I'm sure.
But Lana...
If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this.
That's what I've been telling you from the beginning.
Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me.
But what if she's telling the truth?
She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony.
Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself.
The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Let's go!
How many years exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that would be 5 years.
Detective Gant and Detective Skye were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases.
She must have been good coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was respectable detective, that's why. But think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And... Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him.
Lana,
So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago?
You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seemed I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body.
What?
The prosecutor marshal died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that's so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle.
That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies.
All just to protect me.
So when you found a scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to.
Yes.
Ooh.
I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body.
You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound, and then you moved the body?
But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edward. You've always had a good head on your shoulders.
My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of others.
Why did you plant the knife?
Why did you move the body? When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body?
It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple.
Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason this guy moved the body.
The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan.
What?
Nani?
Pieces of the jar, you mean? Yes, that wretched jar Mr. Wright showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body.
So,
when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall is dead, and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during the struggle.
I see.
What's the matter, Emma?
Apparently, the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. But I have a feeling there is more to it than that.
There must be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone.
Hello?
So you rearranged the crime scene. Are you sure you didn't do this to keep Emma from looking like the murderer? How many times do I have to tell you, Mr. Wright? Emma didn't do it. Period. Are you so desperate to hide that fact? You're willing to risk the death sentence?
She's lying. She did it so I wouldn't be blamed for what happened.
In any case, as a prosecutor, what I've done is unpardonable. There's nothing I can do to make up for my actions.
Mr. Wright, my sister's lying.
Looks like she's determined to protect you to the end. She insists she fabricated the evidence by herself.
There's no way she could have done it alone.
I've got to get Lana to talk more. If she's lying, then she's bound to slip up and make a contradiction.
Contradiction.
Oh, it has to be the jar. Because the jar was written in blood. It could have only been written... It couldn't have been written if it was shattered already. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't fit. So it had to have been written before the jar broke.
It's like a lot of effort to actually write on a broken jar.
Right? Miss Sky, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been useless. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Order! Order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony. Rip.
Witness testimony, jar and message in blood.
I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered.
You mean you are the one who wiped away this message in blood?
I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time.
She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence.
Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Cross-examination, jar and message in blood.
I already know what it is. Can I just go to it? Cause
it's your playthrough.
I just can't
You're in
believe how
charge.
much we're pressing for this. So freaking much. It has to be the jar again.
And I know why.
No, don't you worry, folks. It's time for it to be strictly business.
I can't, dude. She's hurting my brain a lot because she just loves to keep pushing it. Miss Guy, I believe this jar conceals a truth that even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe.
In the chief's safe? But how?
I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them.
Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation.
On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely.
The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective.
That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Ha! Can you believe that?
Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken.
Oh, that.
There's no way a name could have been written on the shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness.
I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar?
The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that?
No!
I like how the judge is upset about this.
Wait, I'm not the one on trial here.
On trail.
Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposely hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is his action called? Fabrication.
But why would Chief Gant do that?
In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear?
Just what happened afterwards.
Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And here is the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the chief's puppet. Oh. No, I did it on my own.
Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief.
I
can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake.
No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies?
The most foul. They really had problem. They probably got tired of this whole thing and stopped spell checking their texts.
Right? Foul lies. Imagine that coming from my own client.
I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth.
Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap?
There's something wrong, Miss Wright.
Lana, maybe right after all. What do you mean, right?
So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright?
Miss Skye, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie.
But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall.
Miss Skye, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw.
All right, the witness may testify once more for the final time. For final time, please! I'm done with this.
Witness testimony. Actual crime scene.
When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent.
Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor sword.
You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning.
What? To me?
It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed.
But I don't remember receiving a picture like that.
Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you.
Well, Miss Wright, please present this picture.
I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana.
Lana says she gave it to you this morning.
It's the book! I seem to remember getting something from her then.
Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere.
It's the book that I never read. Oh boy, am I a dick.
You have a nasty habit.
But where did I look? What is this picture?
Is that a Pikachu?
It's like a chick. Like a chicken? A baby chick? There it is. Hey, there's a picture here.
Oh my. This is the actual crime scene.
No other detective saw the crime scene like this. That's because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I rearranged the scene. Boy.
Mr. Wright. That piece cut out from his vest. Could that be?
The cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe. What's this?
It's a handprint. That cloth. It had fingerprints on it. Whoever's fingerprints those are must be the real murderer.
It was her. Those fingerprints. They're yours, Emma.
Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright?
Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flesh out the real murderer.
Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Cross-examination, actual crime scene.
When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled. Oh. Hold it! Ah!
Come now, Hudgy. This is the poorest excuse for a try I've ever seen.
Chief Gant?
What? Now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense.
I'm afraid it's too late for that.
What?
You already declined testimony. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be the risk the judge was talking about. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck.
Yeah, it's worth.
Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you. But I don't need to make any statements.
What do you mean?
The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence.
Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence?
No, I don't. But someone does.
Cloth.
Someone.
So then, what's your excuse, Righto?
I can't show the evidence.
Why have you been keeping quiet about that? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt.
Is this true, Miss Wright?
No. If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as a murderer.
Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence presented now, and if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries.
What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed No, I can't. Because then it proves Emma's the one and then she'll be convicted. I can't show it.
Just for the record,
Yeah?
this was an instant game over decision.
Oh! Do I make the right decision?
Oh, we're about to find out.
Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
What? You lie.
Chief Gant?
You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together.
Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it.
What are you talking about, Chief Gant?
Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area?
It looks like part of it's been cut off for some reason.
You mean you had this in your safe?
What? That means you, the civil police, concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department.
Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gal, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened.
What? You mean you admit to it?
I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana.
So you really were manipulating her.
I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she will ask for my aid.
So you assisted Miss Sky.
I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant a knife tip to the victim's body, move the body across the room.
And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted.
When we rearranged the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. I did this before Lana arrived at the scene.
2 pieces of evidence. You mean those items in your safe?
But why?
For insurance, of course.
Insurance?
I was sure my plan will work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces.
But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar, too?
Ho, 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 ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance.
You mean that piece of cloth?
Come on, Righto. Cough it up already. I know you have it.
What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright?
So you admitted to it then, Chief Gant. You were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe.
Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer.
Well, Mr. Wright, What do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present.
Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late.
It's been a long battle, but the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. We gotta show it now. Now we show it. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now.
All right then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall.
We gotta show the cloth now. We have to.
That's like, what, 4 pages of evidence?
I know, right? Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest?
Oh, yes! At last you finally brought it out in the open.
There's a handprint on this piece of cloth.
Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather. There must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly.
You mean?
It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence.
You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy.
What?
Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why will that be?
You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that.
Mr. Wright, do you really know?
Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person whom these fingerprints belong to. You can't lie.
I mean, it's not like you can change the prints.
Emma? Emma Sky?
What? They're mine?
I'm sorry, Emma.
But why? Why didn't you tell me?
Oh, you're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along. And you still tried to pin the murder on me.
So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
How could you? You monster!
Miss Sky?
You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Sky, it's not over yet.
What?
I said this trial isn't over yet.
But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer?
Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up.
Oh, and what's that?
Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall?
What?
Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
It was Emma Sky, wasn't it?
I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about?
I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is.
Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, who could it possibly contradict?
Chief Gant, you Chernical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Oh.
You didn't think this
Hold
through,
on.
didn't you?
No. Let me look at this real quick.
Oh, now I remember. It's because there's blood on it. There would have been blood on the cloth.
And what exactly is this supposed to be?
I was like, I knew it was the picture. I just couldn't remember why it was the picture. Because I remembered it earlier when I saw the picture. I put a mental note in my brain for that.
I asked you, what exactly is this supposed to be?
This is the picture Miss Sky took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out?
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though.
Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, but that piece of cloth. Wait, there's no blood on it.
Ah!
Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword.
No, this is nonsense.
Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could have it been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Sky, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. Then he broke the jar on purpose to leave behind a clue and make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's chest. I mean, vest.
Vest.
I don't know why I said chest, but
I mean, if you cut out the chest, there will be a lot more bleeding.
I mean, you're right. Not wrong there. Ironic, isn't it?
Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer.
No!
It's finished. I'm done. This is it!
Oh! Oh.
That was close, Righto. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations.
What do you mean you refute his allegations?
You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence.
Order! What nonsense is this?
Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Hudgy? Earlier, old Righto here concealed that piece of cloth. No, I'm the chief of police. You do not.
I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
Yeah, because it wasn't the right time.
Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence.
At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence.
But that's not fair.
Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the laugh's on you, son.
I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth?
True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal.
Well, Mr. Wright?
It seems, at last, time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived.
Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? I did not.
Certainly. I refused to present evidence at one point.
So the evidence is illegal.
No, it isn't, Mr. Gant.
Huh?
It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't.
What do you mean, you couldn't?
There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence.
No, Haji, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't let him.
There's only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not?
Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now.
I got to show you the book I never read.
Let me show you evidence I never actually cared about.
I mean, we could look at it. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Unregistered or evidence present must be relevant to the case in trial. Yeah, that's it. It's this baby. The book I decide to read now. Yeah! This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law!
What's this?
I've done my homework too, Chief.
Did you now?
Hey, come on! It was obvious it was the book. Come on, let's be honest here. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth. Nothing more.
What?
You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law.
Can you hear this? The police is coming to pick up Gant.
Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule number 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case in trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time, it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident.
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and...
Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented?
That was shown only a few moments ago.
No.
He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, damn Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest.
Oh, yes. No.
It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer, and there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant, the killer was you. Oh God.
I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hunting me.
Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty.
He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman.
Detective Goodman?
Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as the outfo. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit.
He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence.
Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden, he had to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman?
Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered.
He told me to open up the evidence room and take it out.
It's not too late. I'll hand this to Marshall.
Well, to be honest, I was a little panicked too. I had a bad feeling about it, but never knew it will come to this. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife. And then I did it. I killed Mallow. I mean, I couldn't just pull it out.
You would only increase the amount of blood and you couldn't finish what you started.
Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I was wiping it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my mistake.
Detective Gumshoes. Bloody handprint.
I used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it.
Then you put the body in my car.
I'm sorry. We couldn't think of any other way to move the body. We broke the trunk, but what's the big deal? You pulled down a lot more than us detectives.
What does this have to do with anything? You're horrible. How could you get Miss Sky involved in all of this?
Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out.
So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker.
Dr. Goodman?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say doctor for some reason. He upgraded, okay?
I feel bad for having to do it. I couldn't sit around and pick and choose what to take.
Well, you left the jar fragment and gloves.
Yeah.
That's right.
Looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer.
Committer.
Yes. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay.
Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that.
Tell me, Worthy. What are you doing in court?
Me?
You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me. We're the same. One day you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll figure out what's needed. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Aji.
What?
Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend.
I'm sorry too, David Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person.
Those days are long gone now, Urgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Righto here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. You see, if I listen carefully, I can hear it right now. The sound of a new beginning. A brand new franchise starting up. Probably gonna be aired on HBO too.
There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence, up until today.
So, it just seems that all the questions raised in this trial have been answered.
I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. The Sky. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing.
Liar!
I was worried the pressure might break you, and yet you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth.
Stop it. I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky,
Yes, Your Honor.
you are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date.
In fact, everybody involved in
Yes.
this trial is going to get tried for something because
Right.
they all did some scrap.
Right?
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains.
Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, not guilty!
Guilty.
Woo! We finally got to use the confetti! That is all. The court is adjourned. Oh, hell freaking yeah!
February 25, 5:03 p.m. Wow, 5:03 p.m.
It took
District
like,
Court
what, 3
defendant
hours?
lobby number 2. We took basically
The whole day,
7
though.
hours.
Yeah, we took the whole
7
day.
hours.
Oh, frick 'em.
I hope there was no trial after this in the courtroom lobby number 9.
At long last, it's finally over.
Uh-oh.
Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit.
No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended,
I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well.
you know, I did my best too. But Anna didn't say a single word to me.
I hope I'm not interrupting anything.
Gumshoe!
Oh. Guess I am. I'll come back later.
Detective Gumshoe. I love that that's like the same thing that happens every time. What is it?
You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you called me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding.
Oh, are you here because of my sister again?
Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal.
Me?
That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone.
Oh,
Lana,
Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know.
Well, I won't tell if you won't.
Emma, I owe you an apology.
it's okay, sis. Don't worry about it.
That day 2 years ago, was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess.
Sis,
I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you looked at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew.
but sis, you were only doing it for me.
No,
Huh?
I turned my back on you that day, and hiding what I believed to be the truth. I was deceiving you.
Sis,
I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry.
but sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now.
You're happy?
Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have.
Oh, Emma. Emma!
Oh, you're happy.
No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes.
Unless we do a reboot.
Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find the way back to our path. And once we've found our path, we can move on from our past mistakes toward a brighter future. At least, that's what I felt, looking at those two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe,
Me?
thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edward?
Edward?
Stop hiding and come over here.
You're too fat to hide behind that
He's
plant.
a little angry. Where was he hiding? Dude, he was snooping on me.
He's a ninja.
I just came to say congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth.
Right. Well, I'll be going now.
No, wait! No!
Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't change my own mistakes.
Mr. Edgeworth.
Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. No!
You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me. We're the same. One day you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll take the dark side. You'll figure it out what's needed. The dark side. Do it.
I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. It's scary, but I've been thinking the same thing for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows, given enough time, might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. What? Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. They both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. That may be right, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright, and because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, like a pub quiz?
Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about.
Evidence that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find out on our own.
Do you know? You have the right answer, probably not the good reasoning.
Ah.
The reasoning here is that Edgeworth had the official list, and we found the missing list
Oh, that's
from
true.
Gant's
It
office.
was 2 pieces. That's true.
That's the picture I drew.
Our countertype began with this. You had one half of the evidence list, and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Edgeworth.
It's time for me to go.
Mr. Edgeworth,
If you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth! What will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, what happened in this trial can either make or break you as a prosecutor. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, Wright. And what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell.
And then Edgeworth died on his way back to his planet.
I better be getting back too.
okay, I'll come visit you.
It seems we both still have a lot to learn. Here, this is a little something for you.
Scientific investigation.
It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well.
Thanks, sis. I will.
And so, another case came to a close.
As for the sisters, I have faith.
Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own.
Perhaps a sequel.
Journey
Or
to
2.
discover myself.
Or 3. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal.
Huh? What is it, detective?
There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this.
But
I thought you said it was okay.
Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, folks at the prison are a different story.
Huh?
Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either.
Huh? Way to go, Detective. I didn't know you had a wild side.
Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here's the one who will be footing the bill.
What? Huh?
What? You think I could afford that with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal.
Huh? Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best.
Why is it? I suddenly feel like I want to scream.
Since we're all here, why don't we all go together?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go.
In 3, 2, 1. I think you just have to swing it.
Got to swing it?
Objection! And that's the second credits of the game. Shoot Takumi.
We did it!
Oh, we have the...
I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. She's a coroner. I think Emma will be pleased. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days as the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then, I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma.
Planning Takashi Yamazaki. Design Kazuya Yuri.
Oh, gumshoe.
Yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalize you anymore, it'll be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily.
How did he not get fired? Let's just be honest here.
Time for some art? So many people on art?
More people. Animation.
No, that's animation.
That's true. There was a little bit of animation in this. You had the video. Oh, God.
My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm going to make detective. Yes, sir. Then I can be just like that Dick Gumshoe. Graphics. More graphics.
Oh.
Of course, the Blue Badger is also a very important character so that we need to have spent time to show how things are going with the Blue Badger. I mean, it's the Blue Badger.
Why?
The most important characters in the entire... Oh, he might have ran out of batteries.
He broke.
He might have ran out of batteries. After all, there's no off switch, so he keeps dancing and dancing till he drops.
He just immediately fell.
There might have been a design flaw. What is it? Can't you see him having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Star managed to sneak this in for me. She's seeing me to the gates of the guard. Well, cowboy, looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smiles. Can you make sure Billy and the gang wet the waters? Go ahead.
Oh, there's pictures! Oh, crap! I didn't know.
I recall this was happening. Oh, yeah, I remember now. It goes like... Oh, well.
Looks
do this
like
while
we
you...
won't be seen each other for a while.
As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu. The right way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory.
Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time. Just be sure not to eat it backwards.
Yeah, I recall that Luca got tipped off when she did that part, so that's when I found out this was a thing, actually. It's neat.
It is, but it sucks because I'm trying to do both things at the same time.
Yeah, I know, right? And you wouldn't think about it.
I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing or something or other or how many years? Anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I better be. Huh? Oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go. Ooh.
Maya! Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing Nick and his objections. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium.
Maya, afternoon training's about to begin.
Coming! Well, see you around, Nick.
I know, we didn't even get to see her at all at this freaking thing, so it's kind of interesting we got to see her. Wow, there's a lot. Oh, Edgeworth.
Mr. Hedgeworth.
Oh, it's him.
Oh, it's you then.
Mr. Edgeworth, I brought you your tea. What's going on? He got something. Did he sign a letter of resignation?
Who knows? Maybe you need to play the next game to find out.
Oh, thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book.
Oh.
Open this book.
Okay. How do I?
The same way as you open the other book.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Aww.
Aw. Oh, what a cute picture. That was
And
it.
That's the end of it.
That's the end. We beat the game. We
beat the
finally
DLC.
finished it. We finally finished the whole game, though.
So I would like to point out,
Yeah.
if I have the information right here, the main game, at least the way it was on the Game Boy Advance, took us about 40 episodes.
Uh-huh.
This DLC,
Mm-hmm.
if my information is correct, took us 15.
Damn.
This case is almost twice as big as the original game.
That's insane, dude. It's like basically another game.
Basically. Which is why they charge you more for it.
But we did it. We finally did it. We got to complete it, and we're done. And I never have to play this one game ever again. Yay!
Never say never.
But. I have to continue the story.
Well, yes. That was never a doubt. The question is, how are we going to do this?
Not sure, but the next one would be what? Justice for All?
Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All.
Justice
which,
for All.
personally, is the weakest of the entire series.
Really? That's actually
Doesn't make
considered
it
the
a bad
weakest?
game. It's just...
It's not as
not-
strong.
It's... I feel like it's a personal matter, but like personally, out of all of them, it's the one that I will rank the lowest. Doesn't make it a bad game. Just
Okay,
make
so
it feel
just,
like...
It's just not as strong as some of the other ones are. So
Yes, like...
okay.
Some people played it, they still liked it. I personally have my problems with it, but doesn't make it a bad game. It just makes it the less good of the whole bunch. So we're still going to have a good time. Well,
All right.
As much
So-
as murder solving can be a good time, but I
Yeah,
digress.
exactly. Well, that's it. That's all there is to it. We finally finished the DLC portion of Phoenix Wright Ace
It
Attorney.
only took us 5 years.
Yep, no kidding. And we will. I still want to continue playing the Phoenix Wright games. They are enjoyable. I'll bet a little tedious sometimes, but considering the circumstances, I'm glad. I'm glad we got to finally put an end to this and finally close the case once and for all. So yeah, this was Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney with me and Nightshade.
Where am I going to get more instant noodles, though?
Don't worry, you'll get some another time.
But my salary review!
And with that, we are out of here.